Our winter weather continues to get worse as an Arctic blast settles in across the United States, bringing record-breaking low temperatures in addition to significant snowfall accumulation. But as we go into the weekend and next week, we are anticipating warmer weather to arrive, in addition to the threat for a heat wave across the United States, which will lead to even more storm systems that will actually be capable of producing more snowfall. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that's going to be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning, and there is a lot of improvement compared to what we just had over the last 48 hours. That big winter storm is now off the coast, only a little bit of snow falling in southern New England this morning, and we also have a little bit of snow still falling back up near the Great Lakes regions, but overall, the snow is pretty much done for most of the United States as we go throughout the next few days. Notice that we actually have snow that is currently being picked up by the infrared imagery back across the central and northern plains, and this is something that you can sometimes see on satellite, is the snow that's on the ground. It's actually being reflected back to the satellites. In addition to that, you can see a little bit of that snowfall back over in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas if you look closely. But overall, the weather is much quieter for the time being, but I do think that'll change as we go into next week. And the moment you've all been waiting for is the winter storm recap Tuesday into Wednesday, and you're probably wondering, did we actually over or underperform in terms of snowfall? Well, it varied for everybody in terms of the central plains and back through the mid-Atlantic. Many areas back over in southwestern Missouri and southeast Kansas actually underperformed. We really only saw about 6 to 10 inches of snow in most areas near Joplin and Springfield. Just south of St. Louis, though, back here in southeast Missouri, we overperformed. Many areas near a foot of snow there, back over near Cape Girardeau, and then also back into parts of Oklahoma, a range of a coating to a few inches. Many of those areas underperformed. But look at this, back over in North Texas, we had lake effect snow that led to anywhere from a coating up to 2 to 3 inches of snow back over in North Texas yesterday. Not something we had in the forecast. And then back over in the mid-Atlantic, we have overperformed. Back over near Virginia Beach, many areas as of early this morning were around 12 inches of snowfall, meaning that this was the most significant winter storm in about 15 years for most of these areas. Well, I told you that the winter weather keeps getting worse, and it really does. We are dealing with some of the coldest weather that we've seen in years across much of the United States. These are the temperature anomalies this morning. Many areas 30 to 45 degrees below average in the central and southern plains. This is shattering tons of records. We have about 60 records today across the central and southern plains that'll either be tied or broken for daily records. So definitely a very impactful event, and I don't recall the last time when we had about 60 records either being tied or broken on a given day. So this is definitely a crazy event. As we go to tomorrow, this cold air will start to move a little bit further to the east across the Midwest, and then eventually, as we go into Saturday, that cold air is going to start to settle down across areas along the East Coast and also through the Ohio Valley. Things will begin to improve across the Great Plains, and if you're back over in the northern plains, we're going to go right back to above average temperatures back over in those areas by Saturday. Many of those areas right now are dealing with sub-zero temperatures, and some areas are as low as 50 degrees below zero for feel-like temperatures, so it's very cold up there. As we go into Sunday, that cold air continues to move further down to the south and east, mainly impacting the Dixie Alley. This is not really record-breaking by Sunday, and then eventually by Monday into Tuesday, look at this, we're right back to above average temperatures, and in some cases, we're going to be talking about a heat wave as we go into early to mid next week. Some areas in the northern plains will be as much as 30 degrees above average. I don't know what's going on with the weather. It seems drunk. I'm not going to lie. This is just crazy and off the charts in terms of what we're seeing here just over the next 7 days. We're literally going from record-breaking cold to even in some cases record-breaking warmth as we go into next week. So it's going to be a crazy next 7 days. And as a reminder, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the red button down below and subscribe. We are currently about 10,000 subscribers away from 1 million. I would appreciate it if you do subscribe to the channel. We do daily weather forecasts like this all the time, in addition to live coverage of big weather events. All right, let's talk about the temperatures over the next few days, beginning with what it looks like this morning. Again, notice many areas sub-zero in the Midwest, Central Plains, and across the northern plains. By tomorrow morning, those sub-zero temperatures will become a more confined area in the Midwest and the Central Plains, but we will have freezing temperatures reaching the Gulf Coast. Falling iguanas possible back over in central and northern Florida tomorrow morning. You might need a helmet if you're in those areas. Once we go into Saturday morning, the cold weather will start to simmer down. We're talking about temperatures a little bit closer to normal by Saturday and into Sunday. And as we go closer to Tuesday of next week, these are the high temperatures currently forecasted for February 25th. We are talking about 60s and maybe even 70s back over in South Dakota and Nebraska. I don't know what's going on with the weather. This is actually crazy what we're talking about here over the next 7 days. We're going from areas as low as 30 degrees below zero to upwards upwards of 70 degrees in terms of the temperature. I mean, this is just insanity in terms of the weather. Again, over only the next 5 days. This is from Thursday all the way until Tuesday. It's mind-boggling. These are the wind chills, which are your feel-like temperatures. Many areas in the central and northern plains, again, around 30 to 40 degrees below zero for feel-like temperatures. Again, improvement is coming, especially as we go into early to mid next week. We're talking about much nicer weather by Monday and Tuesday across most of the United States. And these are some of the records that are being tied or broken this morning across the Great Plains. Notice how we have record-breaking cold across most areas, again, in the Great Plains this morning. By tomorrow morning, it's not much different. We're actually going to even have some record-breaking cold down into parts of the southeast. So make sure you're bundled up, stay safe outside. It is going to be a cold the next 48 hours for most of the lower 48. Now, the weather is going to be changing a ton over the next 7 to 10 days. We've already talked about how the temperatures are going to react, but let's talk more about what we're going to be talking about in terms of snow and rain. So beginning with the jet stream over the next few days, we do have a big dip in the jet stream back over on the East Coast, and this is what's responsible for all that cold air moving west to east across the Central Plains and then eventually into the Ohio Valley as we go into tomorrow. Eventually, as we go into Saturday into Sunday, our jet stream gets very messy. There's really no defined area of any big storm systems, which is good news. We're not really dealing with anything this weekend that will be significant, but I do want to point out that our jet stream pattern as we go into next week is going to be mostly like this. This is going to basically mean that we're going to be seeing some Alberta clippers that are going to be coming out of Canada that will be capable of snowfall in addition to some showers and thunderstorms across areas like the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. So I would anticipate a much more active weather pattern as we go into the middle of next week in those areas. But I do think there is reason to believe that we could see a big storm system by the end of next week across areas in the Ohio Valley, Dixie Alley, and along the East Coast, which could be some sort of big winter storm, maybe even some severe weather. We're going to talk more about this here in just a moment, but I do think as we get closer to the very tail end of February, things are going to get interesting again. So over the next few days, we are dealing with some snowfall back along the East Coast and into the Northeast. As we go into this weekend, look at this surface high pressure system. It is going to be dominating anywhere east of the Rockies and even back on the West Coast. Things are relatively dry unless you're back over in Oregon or Washington. Eventually, as we go into Sunday into Monday, those atmospheric river events will continue back over in the Pacific Northwest. Alberta clippers will be coming right over the Canadian border into parts of the Midwest and the Northeast. These will bring some shots of some snow, rain, and even freezing rain, but these aren't really that significant. We're not talking about 12 inches of snow or more really out of any of this activity as we go into Monday or Tuesday. But eventually, as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, that is the time frame to watch for some sort of large storm to form back in the Midwest and through the Gulf Coast. I do think that we're going to see some level of severe weather and as well as snow out of this, but exactly where that snow falls and what the magnitude of severe weather is just too uncertain at this point to really go into detail on. But we'll talk more about this in a future video, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. By the time we go into next Friday and Saturday, we could have another Alberta clipper coming out of Canada. I do foresee at least a few of these here over the next couple of weeks. And then the European model, as we go into the first week of March, does have a relatively large storm across areas in the Midwest and back through the southern plains. It's too early to tell if this is even going to happen, as this is about 300 hours out, which I never really show model runs that far out, but there are some signals that we actually will see a return of severe weather back along the Gulf Coast as we go into the first week or two of March. So something to watch for, but again, too early to tell what's exactly going to be happening well over 10 days from now. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are very close to 1 million subscribers. I do appreciate all of your support, and we will see you guys all again in the next video, which will be tomorrow morning.